What up, sports fans? Waxon Wednesday, Jay Waxman, Tal Levelette, two guys talk sports. Let's get the show on the road. Before I get things started, I want to apologize to all you sports fans for not putting on a Waxon Wednesday last week. Complete and utter laziness on my part. So I understand your disappointment. No one's fault but mine. So I take responsibility for not posting a Waxon Wednesday last week. And I hope I can redeem myself this week by giving you guys a very, very good Waxon Wednesday this week. So again, apologies for not posting last week. Or even giving you guys a heads up that there was going to be no Waxon Wednesday nor Friday Roundtable. Anyway, to get things started, oh boy, lots of news out of the world of Formula One. And the big story revolves around Christian Horner. He is out at Red Bull. There you go. And I do mean out. So Christian Horner to exit Red Bull with immediate effect. And in terms of that, they already have a successor. Laurent Mekies is taking over as the new CEO of Red Bull Racing, effective immediately. But Christian Horner is leaving. So Christian Horner had held the role with Red Bull for some 20 years. And then the Briton leading Red Bull through their first F1 season back in 2005 and playing a key role in turning them from point scorers into world champions. So, wow. Whoa. Who would have saw this? Like, if a move like this was going to happen, I thought it would have happened at the end of the season, but nope. Kind of like, a mid-season firing in the NFL or in the NHL. But here we are. Christian Horner, his time at Red Bull has come to an end after 20 years working with the program. He will no longer be the CEO. But I will start by saying this. Don't worry about Christian Horner. He's going to be just fine. He'll either land a really good job with another Formula One team, or, he might do something else. But he's made plenty of money with Red Bull. And you know what? Christian Horner, whatever you think of him, respect goes both ways. Some look at him as kind of a whiner on the radio. Others look at him as a man who built up a program. And he's come off as both. But regardless of what you think of Christian Horner, there's no denying that what he has done at Red Bull, absolutely extraordinary. Under Christian Horner, Red Bull, 8 World Drivers' Championships and 6 Constructors' Championships. Not bad for the program. And he has helped guide some of the best drivers in Formula One history. I mean, Sebastian Vettel and, of course, Max Verstappen, both who have ended up as 4-time world champions. And all of them and all those championships for Red Bull, of course. So, honestly, the work he has done for this team, nothing short of extraordinary. And before last season, under his guidance, Red Bull was at its very best. They were untouched in 2022 and 2023. Of course, 2024, they still won the Drivers' Championship, but not the Constructors' Championship. And same with 21 after a great battle with Mercedes. But, wow, talk about ripple effects. So, the whole Formula One paddock is going to feel this. Because now, it's a new era. And clearly, Red Bull is looking to rebuild. They're looking to retool because as great of work as Christian Horner's done, some will say maybe this is a bit early, but for Red Bull, I think it was time for a change. I think he's been there for 20 years, so like I said, don't worry too much about him. And sometimes you need some new faces, even if the move feels really immediate. I think Red Bull kind of understood, okay, we're in a rebuilding phase, and we need some new faces now. We need to change things up because the Red Bull this year, it does not look like they're going to win either the Drivers' Championship with Max Verstappen, or they're not even going to come close to the Constructors' Championship. They're 4th right now, right behind the likes of McLaren, Ferrari, and, of course, Mercedes. So, Red Bull right now, I think they're beginning the rebuild phase, and they're beginning it early. They're kind of retooling and restructuring. And starts with the CEO. So, new CEO in place for Red Bull, but, hey, Christian Horner. But much respect, though, for Christian Horner and what he's done at Red Bull. A lot of great things. They had a lot of great times together. Even he and Max Verstappen showing his absolute respect for him, even though there's been maybe some tension between the two, but nothing really of significance. But you know what? I can't say I had this in my bingo card this year. This is definitely a move I did not see coming, let alone this early. Like, especially in the middle of the season. I would not have thought that Red Bull would do something like this, but here we are. Times are changing, and Red Bull, and I think Red Bull kind of understands, hey, it's time to rebuild now. All right, their cars have gotten slower. Formula One, the rest of the field is caught up, and 3 of the big teams have now surpassed Red Bull. So, with that being said, though, you gotta respect and admire the work that Christian Horner's done for Red Bull in the 20 years he was there. I mean, like I said, those 8 drivers' championships, 4 for Max Verstappen, 4 for Sebastian Vettel, 2 of the great drivers of Formula One, and of course, those 6 constructors' championships. So, really, really impressive work by Christian Horner. But, and hey, it's tough to see him go out on these circumstances, but with that being said, when it comes to work environments, everybody is a replaceable cog in the machine. And Christian Horner's no different. We all have our time. Eventually we're probably going to be replaced or we're going to have to step aside. So, but with that being said, I'm sure we don't know what's next for Christian Horner, but we know he's either going to find a big job or he might just, spend the rest of his time relaxing easy because because those CEOs make a lot of money. There's no question. So, if my guesses are correct, it would not surprise me to learn that Christian Horner is set for life, and he probably doesn't need another job going forward. But with that being said, salute to one of the best CEOs, not just in Red Bull's history, but in Formula One's history. And to Christian Horner, best wishes, my man. And now, Christian Horner's departure from Red Bull leaves a very, very big question, which leads to my second subject. Max Verstappen's future at Red Bull. Is he going to stay for a few more years? Or is he going to look to get out immediately? He does have an exit clause. Whichever team acquires Max Verstappen would have to pay, I think, like somewhere around 180 million euros in euros, I think. I could be more, could be less. But there is a clause in Max Verstappen's contract that he can leave Red Bull as long as the team acquiring him pays Red Bull, or if Max Verstappen pays that money. I mean, not necessarily a steep buyout. It's expensive, but not necessarily steep. So, word on the block, of course, is when it comes to Max Verstappen is Mercedes may be looking to make a move. Mercedes may be looking to offer Max Verstappen a contract. Oh boy. It's going to be an interesting, silly season for Formula One. And the big tip of the iceberg, of course, is Max Verstappen. What does he do? Of course, with Christian Horner gone and with Red Bull looking like they're going to be in a rebuild, does Max decide to stick around for a few more years, or does he decide to get out at the earliest opportunity? That remains to be seen. And of course, Mercedes may be strongly looking at him. And here's the thing. This is a decision that can go both ways. The thing is, I mean, Max Verstappen is still in his prime and still got plenty of competitive years left. Still young and still has a lot of race wins left in him. If he decides to go to a team like Mercedes, he'll make that team instantly better, and he'll win more right now than he is with Red Bull at Red Bull's current stage. But on the other hand, if Mercedes does bring in Max Verstappen, can they build a race car that's tailored to his style of racing? That's going to be the tricky part, because Red Bull has built the perfect race car for Max Verstappen, perfectly tailored to his style of racing. So that is one of the big mysteries. And then, if Mercedes does decide to go get Max Verstappen, who are they going to kick to the curb? I mean, you got George Russell, who's doing a good enough job. Maybe, okay, so he's not quite as good as Max Verstappen, but he's still doing a fairly good job and wins races for Mercedes. And then you got, I believe, Kimi Antonelli, who's just a rookie and may be one of the future superstars of this Formula One, or one of the future superstars of F1. Not an easy decision to make if you're Mercedes. And do they pull the plug? Because if you get Max Verstappen, you're going to have to pull the plug on one of those drivers. So are you going to give up a future prospect, an Antonelli, or a seasoned veteran? and team leader in George Russell. Really, not an easy choice to make for Mercedes. And that's another reason they may decide, you know what, maybe not this year. So a lot of different things that may have, so many things that are going to have to line up if Mercedes wants to bring Max Verstappen there. Of course, race car is one thing. Figuring out the best driver lineup possible. And then there's the question of contracts and how much you're willing to pay to get Max Verstappen. And then there's Max Verstappen himself. We don't know what he's thinking at this point. You know, maybe he has said he wants to stay at Red Bull as long as possible, but we'll see. And as long as they can build the best race car tailored to him possible, time can only tell. And that's where I leave this subject. Excuse me. All right. And then there's my third and final subject. Nothing related to Formula One, but oh boy. I hate talking about NCAA Tournament expansion. But today, I thought I'd react to the opinion of one of the best coaches in the NCAA field right now in terms of college basketball. And probably a coach who is starting to finally get the respect that he deserves. It's none other than Purdue's